Great, thank you. Then I will go ahead and welcome everyone and go ahead and call the meeting to order. This is the Tucson Pima County Historical Commission Plans Review Subcommittee meeting of Thursday, February 26th, 2026, called to order at 9:02 a.m. And I will go ahead and do roll call. Terry Majewski is here. Andrew Christopher.
Here.
Blake Houghton.
Here.
Joel Ireland, not present. And Savannah McDonald.
Here.
Great, thank you. We have a quorum with 4 members. Item 2 is review and approval of the February 12th, 2026 legal action report. Could I have a motion to approve as submitted, please?
I will move to approve the minutes, Terry. This is Blake.
Great, thank you. And is there a second?
I'll second. Savannah.
Thank you, Savannah. Is there discussion? Okay, if not, I'll go ahead and call roll. Terry votes aye. Andrew?
Aye.
Savannah?
Aye.
Blake?
Aye.
Thank you. It passes unanimously 4-0. We'll move on to item 3, which is summary of public comments. Desiree, were any received by the stated deadline?
I did not receive any, and I'll ask Jason and Michael if they received any public comments.
I did not receive any. This is Michael.
Jason, did you receive any public comments?
Jason,
yeah, I was muted when I spoke. Yep, I have not received any comments.
Okay, perfect. Okay, and before we move on to the next item, let's see who is on. Let's see. Paige, are you here for 4A?
I don't have a copy of the agenda in front of me, but yes, I believe
he is for the Benjamin Supply Project.
Thank you. Okay, I just wanted to be sure I have all the names. And then we have Maria G. So all you're seeing, because for some, here, let me see who else is on. Let's see, who's on by phone? There's an iPhone.
That's Rick McLean.
Yep. Hi, Rick McLean is here.
I'm Shane Dean with Rep McLean as well.
Okay, that's very helpful. Thank you. Okay, so I think those are the only folks that I see. Are those the ones that you see, Desiree?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. So let's move on then to item 4, which is historic preservation zone review cases. We review these under UDC section 5.8/TSM 9-02.0/historic district design guidelines and the revised Secretary of the Interior standards and guidelines. Case 4A is SD 0226-00027. And it's at 440 North 7th Avenue, various parcels. Desiree, would you like to give us background, please?
Yes. So this project is the Benjamin Supply Project at the historic Tucson Warehouse and Transfer Station building, which is located at 440 North 7th Avenue. It is a contributing property to the Tucson Warehouse District, which has 58 contributing properties and 14 non-contributing properties. The parcel is located within the Rio Nuevo area, which is what's triggering the historic review. As any contributing building undergoing proposed exterior alterations must go through historic review. That's in the Rio Nuevo area. So the project itself is a proposed adaptive reuse and revitalization of a historic commercial complex in downtown Tucson. It has multiple pieces. And maybe I'll share my screen actually. So this is our staff executive summary. It has a 4-story tower building. It also has a kind of Art Deco, 1-story Art Deco. There we go. Can you see it now?
Yes,
Okay,
thank you.
you're welcome. I'm gonna see, I have actually some photos. So here's the parcel. As you can see, the building is quite large. There were different additions added over time. This part here is that tower, which was the kind of oldest part of the building, and there are different additions added over time. And so the subject kind of pieces that we're looking at today is this tower, this 1-story piece right here, which was kind of added over time itself, and then this commercial kind of 1-story portion here. And we have the inventory forms also in the packet. Again, this is that tower piece that we're looking at, and then this Art Deco piece that we're looking at that was reportedly designed by Josiah Stroessler. There's that tower, and then this piece along 6th Street has been heavily modified over time. So we don't know exactly, we have some photos, but we don't know exactly what it originally looked like.
Front door open.
Those are kind of the pieces that are not character defining, and we're not concerned about it during this this review. And then this is the original inventory form, an older version. There's some Sanborn maps that just kind of show the evolution of this building. Just kind of scroll through. This is an image from 1929, circa 1929, 33. This is that kind of commercial storefront that had been altered. 1950s and then 1994. 1999, I think that's the last one. So just wanted to give you a little bit context for the building itself, what we're looking at. And the project sponsors here to present their project, so I won't go into all of the details, but I do have some kind of comments maybe after they present the actual project. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and Paige, are you going to present, or I have a few team members here, so I made all of you co-hosts, so whoever would like to share your screen can
Rick
share
will,
your screen.
Shane will share his screen, and Rick is in the happiest place on earth to present.
Yeah. Thanks everybody for having us today. As Paige said, I apologize if any interruptions. I'm currently in Disneyland with my 3 kids, and most of the rest of Tucson, it feels like, as well, for the annual rodeo Disney holiday here. But again, thank you very much for having us this morning. Desiree, thanks so much for a great introduction there as well. That was really helpful. And I just want to, and before we kind of get into the nitty gritty of the project, I just wanted to, in case people aren't aware, kind of like the business and the building and sort of what's going on in general here. I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of background. Because it's actually like we've been working on this for about 1.5 years now, and we're super excited for what's happening here. Benjamin Supply has been a plumbing supply company in Tucson for ever and ever, and we've all patronized their businesses, their locations over the years. As they started to look at retirement, they were starting to look at selling the business, and they looked at many kind of big national corporate companies to come in and buy the business, which we're all very excited to. But they luckily, very fortunately, found the only other family-run plumbing supply company in Arizona, which they're located in Phoenix. They're called Central Arizona Supply. It's run by the Smith family, started by their dad, and now all their kids run the business. They've got several locations in Phoenix and also the surrounding, they've got them in Flagstaff and Sierra Vista and kind of all over the state. And they're an amazing family. And And we're really fortunate that they were able to buy the business, buy the building, and they're going to kind of keep the legacy of Benjamin Supply going. And if anything, they want to actually kind of expand this as well too. Benjamin Supply has always been focused on plumbing supplies for commercial materials and also plumbing fixtures for residential and commercial. They Central Arizona Supply does high-end appliances as well too, and they kind of have a larger selection of their plumbing supplies. So when they looked at this, they said, geez, this is great because I don't know if people have been in here, but in the Art Deco building, that's kind of on the west side there in the center, that's the main entry into Benjamin Supply. That's kind of where the main plumbing showroom is. The tower, the 4-story tower here at the bottom floor has been occupied for offices over the years, but the second, third, and fourth floor have actually been mothballed for a long time. The elevator has been condemned. By the fire department years ago. The stair, there's one stair in there. It's not adequate at all. And it wasn't in very good shape. But these guys really, luckily, they looked at it as a big opportunity to expand their offerings and to actually get more kind of like more retail space by activating the second, third, and fourth floor of this tower, which we're all super excited about because I think that's just going to really going to breathe a lot of life into this building and really activate the space. And I think for all of us in Tucson that enjoy going to bigger cities where you get these retail on these upper floors, it's really to have kind of that level of experience is going to be great. And then the 1-story building off to the left there, which is a little bit on the east side of this, that's closest to the warehouse district, that they would like to turn that into lease space that they can utilize for some of their partnership companies. They're intending to have a tile company in there, a countertop company, a millwork company in there. So it's really going to create this amazing kind of design center in the downtown area, which we think is awesome. And I don't believe it's public information, but just to let everybody know on the call, I mean, these guys are putting in north of $5 million for this renovation, which we've been, as all the projects we've seen in downtown and worked on, that's a substantial amount compared to a lot of other businesses down there that do some of these projects. And, even early on, they had conversations about like, geez, it would be a lot easier for us just to move our operation, out to the periphery of town and get a metal building. And, it'd be a lot cheaper. But they've been great about, recognizing the importance of this location, the importance of Tucson, and what it would mean to have kind of this level of sort of, retail and this type of space in this location. So if anybody wasn't familiar with that, I just kind of wanted to give a little bit of background information so that you guys were aware. And then jumping into the design itself. So as I said, we've been working on this for quite a while with these guys. The buildings are beautiful, and but the tower is 108 years old. So obviously there were no original drawings for this building, but we were able to kind of go through and really do kind of a deep investigation in it, and same with the Art Deco building, the warehouse building. So we've really kind of enjoyed this process with these guys. As Desiree mentioned, we've got kind of 3 main scopes for this building. The Art Deco building on the west side there's really very little that we're doing. I believe there's a couple of windows that have deteriorated, some casing and whatnot that we're going to restore to match the original existing. There's a few cracked areas on the stucco that we'd like to do as well too, and then paint it. But there's really nothing that's happening on that building. The warehouse building, the 1-story on 6th there, that building, again, as Desiree mentioned, was heavily modified. We believe in the 90s. It got a lot of stucco. It got a lot of kind of foam arches and pieces like that placed on there. We which I don't think are kind of complementary to everything else that's happening in this area. So our intention would actually be to strip that back to the original essence of the building itself. Now, we believe from the Sanborn maps, I think that the building was built around 1930, but the first photo we can find is the one that Desiree showed in 1950s. And from the Sanborn maps, it was the original ones, I think, were shown as a furniture showroom in there as well too. So it was sort of commensurate with some of the other retail around the area. However, so we believe that at some point those lintels those sills were raised up and the windows and filled in with glass block and and sort of kind of closed off from the street at that point. It looks, I believe it was, we'd found something that it was like an auto type of business at some point, and I think that's when that storefront got modified at that point. I did have a conversation with the SHPO's office in December, and they were very helpful about kind of helping to kind of give us some guidance and some direction on some of these areas as well too. We had a conversation about this building. This is one of the things that Susan had mentioned and that we followed up on, is that we actually went inside and we did a little bit of selective demo from the interior, took off the drywall, and we were able to see where some of those openings had been filled in with brick. You can see that the brick is different from the original brick walls that are on there, and you can see the cold joint that's connecting them. So we were able to establish the original opening sizes in those walls along there as well. We don't have any evidence of the original windows that were in there, but our hope would be that we could do kind of the divided light windows, which match the kind of the context of the other warehouse buildings in the warehouse district that were built around that same time. And then the tower building in the middle there. So this was obviously probably the one that we worked a lot on to wrestle with, that the building was its original use was a storage building. So it's the concrete grid structure that's there is beautiful and is built like a rock, and these interior mushroom columns, and it's all board formed concrete floors in there. They're all in great shape, and they're all beautiful, which is amazing. And I can't wait for everybody to see it because it looks awesome, and I feel like it's been covered up for so long. The issue that we discovered right off the bat is that the infill walls that go in between that concrete grid structure, those are constructed out of the ceramic block and stuccoed over. It's actually the same construction as the Rialto Theater. If anybody has seen those exterior walls, you can see it's got that same ceramic block infill. The problem is that ceramic block is failing. It is deteriorating. It is bowing. It is not in good shape at all. I think moreover, the stucco that's on the outside is the same thing. The stucco is actually peeling off of that ceramic block as well too. It's, I think, like years of water and moisture getting behind there have really taken a toll on that. A couple weeks ago, a big section of stucco actually fell off. Luckily, we think it was over the weekend, but a 3 foot by 3 foot section came down, hit the sidewalk. Luckily, nobody was hurt because nobody was around. But if completely unattended, those panels will become a safety issue for sure. So that's an area that we need to address for these guys. And then secondly, we've also been looking a lot as, okay, this building was originally a warehouse building. That's really probably not a viable use in 2026. They want to change it to a retail building, but obviously we want to preserve the character of that existing warehouse type building. So how do we do that, right? So that was a lot of the conversations we had, and we said, and they kind of came to us and said a little bit like, we have to have a little bit of natural light in the space to make the retail function. And then moreover, they said, if we're going to spend this amount of money for new elevator, new stair, new egress, new fire suppression system, so forth and so on these second floors. So we really want to activate this in some way that on the second, third, and fourth level, people can understand there's showroom up there, because if they don't, it's really difficult for them to run their businesses. So again, the SHPO's office was really helpful. And they kind of pointed to some of the technical service bulletins that the SHPO or that the Secretary of Interior Standards has. So specifically, I think that's the Technical Services Bulletin 21 has talks about how you add new fenestration onto blank walls. And so I think a lot of the direction that it gives in that is that the Secretary of Interior Standards accepts projects that have these done. If the blank wall is being offered is not a character defining feature, if the building retains the solidity of the mass, and then also if the opening is sort of a plain punched opening with no trim, and it's clearly differentiated from the other window openings. So with that, we try to be very strategic about, really limiting the amount of openings that we're doing here. So you can see we've just selected this north west corner. That is the stair location. That's the entry. That's kind of the we think we'd get the most in a desire to get the visibility to those upper floors. We think we'd get the most visibility through that location there without having to do it really on the other facades as well. And we looked at this a lot too, and we we are retaining obviously the concrete grid that's on the building. We are retaining the signage that's on the top. So I think the scale, the mass, the proportion, all those items stay consistent. So we felt like that the interior panels, that those interior sections were maybe not character defining elements. They were just the infill elements that existed in the building itself. The other technical services bulletin that we looked at was number 55, which is the retaining the character of industrial buildings. And this was a great service bulletin as well too, that talks about buildings that lots of factories on the East Coast that are no longer viable to be factories, and how and those uses change, and it's a compatible new use is required. But I think a lot of the direction that it gives is that the structural system, remains, as originally designed. So we're not modifying anything that's on the structural system. The distinctive features remain, which again, like we think that grid section remains there as well. The top cornicing, the signage, all those pieces like that. And then I think the other direction it gives is that all these things are sort of reversible as well too, right? If the use again change at some point, these windows could simply be removed and the walls could be filled back in. And I think that that's part of the way we by not making any structural movements or anything else like that in the building. So that's I wanted to give you kind of the background as to where we've kind of gone through and all this. And I did have the conversation with SHPO, with Susan at the SHPO's office in December. Again, she was like super helpful, and she gave us some of these. And then I haven't had a chance to follow back up with her, because at that point, she just kind of did a courtesy review. She mentioned that she didn't really have jurisdiction at that point. We didn't get a formal letter or anything, but she gave us that information. I hadn't followed back up with her about that we had done the discovery of the windows on the west building there, or I hadn't followed back up with her after these service bulletins that we looked at as well on there too. But Shane, thanks so much for flipping through there. Paige, Shane, anything else I missed on that would be helpful for these guys to know at this point?
I think you got that.
Okay, great.
Yeah, that was a great summary, I think.
Some of these other documents, this was the same.
Let's,
sorry. Thanks, Terry.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I'm so sorry. Some of these this was the same document that we used for DRB as well as PRS. So you can see the shade study and some of the development plans and things like that. So if you guys have questions on those areas, I'm very happy to discuss them. But I think you guys are probably more interested in the historic parts of the building.
Yeah. Well, who knows what we might ask. But before I entertain questions from commissioners, Desiree, you had some comments.
Thank you. So yeah, I just wanted to add or called your attention, I guess, a couple of things. So as Rick mentioned, the work proposed on the kind of Art Deco single-story addition is mostly repair and repainting the side along 6th Street. The changes are more substantial, but there is also not that much evidence documentation on what we'd be like for a restoration project that we would normally like. So I think the fact that they did some exploratory demolition was helpful. And I did have an informal conversation with SHPO as well, showing them the most recent plans, because this is listed on the National Register. It's not a local HPZ or HL. I did want to get their input, and it was not a formal anything written up, but just kind of their initial assessment. They were not that concerned about those two one-story pieces. The area that they did have more questions about or more concerned about in terms of it potentially losing its status as contributing would be related to the glass windows that are proposed for that infill in that northwest corner. And then Rick, maybe you want to talk about what's proposed for not the glass windows, but the other sides. My understanding, it's still metal is going to be proposed for those. And so SHPO just said, there's like a coating, as long as it looks like a warehouse, and if it looks like it's original material, even if it's a different material, then that would, maintain that contributing status.
Yes. Oh, sorry, Desiree. Yeah, I'd be happy to jump in and talk. I'm so sorry I skipped over that part. But yes, with all those ceramic infill blocks that are coming out, we'd like to replace that with a more, there's no insulation, there's no waterproofing system. So we'd like to replace that with a little bit more of a high performance wall to give that insulation and that proper waterproofing on this building as well too. And then, as Desiree mentioned, we're looking at doing a metal infill panel again for longevity and for dealing with the water issues and the exterior skin performance on this. It would just go inside those grid openings in there. When I talked to SHPO in December, we were looking at doing a corrugated panel that was painted on there. And some of the feedback that we had gotten at that point too is that the didn't feel like the corrugated or like a flat painted panel or a flat painted system may be the best fit for retaining kind of the texture of what's happening there as well too. So since then we've actually looked at doing a flat panel metal. It is recessed back, so the face of the wall of the new metal wall is at the same face that the stucco is currently at. So you still get that same shadow and relief through there as well too. And the metal panels that we're looking at have a texture over them as well too. So they have just a very slight subtle texture, but they match the stucco finish much more than like a solid painted surface that's in there as well. And then moreover, we are proposing, and you can see them kind of lightly in there as well too, some smaller window openings on these facades as well too. Again, in the interest of getting a little bit more light up to those now, converting those now to those retail spaces, getting a little bit more light into those spaces. But we wanted to do it in a way that was really subtle and didn't retract from the solid mass of the building.
Thanks, Rick. Yeah, that was the other thing I was going to mention, was kind of the additional windows or changing of the fenestration pattern would be something that could kind of take it to maybe non-contributing. And just for everyone's information, because this is in the RNA does not require that a contributing status be maintained, but historic review is required. So that's just kind of for everyone.
One other thing, just on those windows, like on that elevation there, the windows are behind the metal screen and it's perforated, so you get the light, but from the exterior, it does make it, recreate that monolithic nature of what it originally looked like.
Okay. Thanks for that clarification. So yeah, that's all I had. So Terry, I'll hand it back over to you.
Okay, thank you. Commissioners, who would like to start? I mean, I just want to say that after, all the city went through to list these buildings as part of a district, I'm hoping that your intention is to maintain its contributing status. Is that the case?
Yeah, absolutely. We are hoping to maintain the contributing status on this building. We're just trying to find that balance between changing the use from a warehouse to a retail and how we make their new business kind of viable in these existing historic buildings.
No, I understand that. And I have a question for Maria. So are we getting back in that cycle of DRB reviewing before PRS?
Ms. Majewski, members of the PRS, no, the DRB is scheduled to review this project next week on March 6th.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Okay, commissioners, who would like to start with questions?
I can start off, Terry.
Go ahead. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. This is a great presentation packet, by the way. It has kind of everything we'd want to see in it in terms of the 3D renders and all of that. So thank you. I share Terry's concern with, I think my predominant concern is that we can maintain the contributing status of this building. In Desiree's staff report, this is one of the historic districts where we have maybe a growing number of non-contributors in the district. So we're not at a critical 50% threshold yet, but I don't want to get close to it. And this is an iconic building too. So I like your rationale for what you've done. I understand the need to change use, and frankly, I'm pretty excited about it. I mean, when was the last time downtown had multi-story retail? Like 1980. So that's pretty incredible. I think if we have these broader goals of creating a livable, dense downtown, we need things like this. And I think full activation of the building is great for its preservation versus 75% of it continuing to be mothballed. So yeah, the corner, I'm good with the corner actually. I mean, maybe I don't know. I would kind of defer to Shippo on that. If they think it's really going to cause delisting, we may need to pare that glazing back a bit, and maintain some opacity in those 3 bays. But I think the grid still reads. You've been careful to set the new infill panels back the same distance as the original. And I think it's really smart to pop those additional windows in behind, like the rain screen system. I think that's brilliant. So I'm generally pretty supportive. I like what you've done on the single story portion along 6th Street there. And yeah, I think my only concern is if we can keep it contributing, then I think this is all great. So I'll turn it over to anyone else with questions or comments.
Thank you
Great.
so much.
Who will go next?
I can go.
Thank you.
And I mostly echo Andrew's comments. I appreciate the creative, adaptive reuse, architectural approach. It is exciting, but I'm just a little concerned it possibly crosses the threshold into non-contributing, and I would hate to see it non-contributing. But I agree. The corner is an exciting element, I guess, and I understand well. Think not everything is hard to or is easy to get into the model, but you guys are keeping all the little. Yeah, they're like on the corner facing west. I think there's kind of a little arched marquee pop out and things like that, where there used to be it looked like maybe a garage door or something. I feel like would all those elements would be maintained, even though we don't see them in the 3D view. Is that right?
Thanks, Savannah. That's the cornice work and a lot of the little detail like that are kind of tricky sometimes to get those into these kind of bigger models. But yes, the intention is to maintain all that kind of like finer detail work that's on there.
Okay, yeah. And the only other I think significant feature that in comparing what it was before to now is the punched openings, the kind of the windows that created a little bit of relief, a little bit of pattern on that fairly blank facade historically. So I'm wondering if paying attention to those or finding some way to tell their story would help with the argument of keeping it compatible or contributing. I'm sorry. Because what you've done is they're in pretty different locations, right? And they're kind of the full height of the bay, as opposed to what it was with the, I think a little more modest with the sill punched openings, right? Originally.
Yep, they were certainly a little bit more modest with the sill. I think they were. I can't speak to their original intention, but obviously a warehouse use is very different from the retail use in there too. And then again, just to follow up on the glass section for that corner opening, our thought process on that was that rather because it's such a predominant grid system with these infill panels that. Our reading and our understanding of kind of, again, following these 2 service bulletins from the Interior Secretary of Standards was that we should, as opposed to create a new proportion or create a new scale or a new rhythm or something like that, it would be maybe better to like let it, have a singular punched opening, same plane that exists currently, no trim, no ornamentation. So that was, I think probably more than anything, I think by, the glass being that full system like that, that helps, I think, to maintain the existing, grid system to read correctly and everything else. So I guess I'll say my fear would be if we throwed it down the amount of glass in those locations, it's like, well, what does that look like, right? Is that are we now introducing like, a head height condition or a sill condition, and where do those jams stop and start? Because at that point, you're sort of creating some of these locations and things like that too. So anyway, that I'm just kind of just giving you sort of our feedback on, or our kind of a little bit of light into our conversations that we had as this project was sort of going along.
Yeah, okay. Thanks. That makes sense. The one story along the perspective we're looking now, what is the material on the facade? Are the columns one thing and the like kind of the top spandrels or parapets, is that a different material?
Yeah, it's a combination of from what we found from our demolition of that. It's a predominantly a brick building, but there are these kind of buttress column pieces that run down there as well too, and they look like they were, from what we've kind of been able to sort of peel back and see, they look like they were a plastered column condition that happened in there. So that's and that's that's what we're hoping to sort of maintain on this as well.
Okay, so in this rendering, is it just two different colors on plaster, or is the horizontal?
The horizontal is re-exposing the brick.
Exposed brick. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Okay.
Because that brick in that section wasn't. It's covered with foam and other stucco, but it wasn't stucco directly to it, so we can re-expose it.
Okay. Yeah, I think I like that. Peeling back that 90s facade, I think helps a lot. Revealing it looks good, looks better. That's all I have right now. We'll listen to other commissioners, but thank you
Great.
guys.
Thanks, Savannah.
Thank you, Savannah. Blake, what about you?
I have some comments. And I'm going to try to keep this brief. The way that this presentation led off seems to have triggered something emotionally in me, and so I'm going to try to respond without letting that come through, and it will be something that I work on going forward. The contributing status of the building, needs to be the priority, that it maintains the significance and its contributing nature of the building to the district as a whole. Of course, so I agree with Andrew and Savannah there. As the landscape architect on this subcommittee, the areas of concern for me are limited because it's downtown, right? Or it's downtown adjacent. And so there's not a lot of historic landscape that needs to be thought about. But part of any landscape is naturally, the view sheds of and from, any structure and any site. And what my biggest comment would be on is irrelevant, as it is the removal of a non-contributing feature that is already in progress. So that's what I have to say.
Okay.
Thank you.
Commissioners, if we don't have other comments or questions, then I'm looking for a motion.
Terry, can I ask
I would
couple-
suggest that we.
Terry, can I ask
do.
one more?
Yeah,
Okay.
go ahead.
Savannah had brought this up, and it was a good
Of course.
catch. On the northwest corner and on the northeast corner, I guess there's from the inventory form, there was the kind of carriage doors that led into the bottom floor of the tower portion.
Mhm.
And there's they've been infilled since, but on the northwest corner, that cornice detail is still there. And then on the northeast corner, the whatever you call them, the little jostle stones or whatever at the jams of where those doors were are still present, where they stick out of the wall. So have you guys done any kind of exploratory demo in there to see how those were infilled, and could they be opened back up again? Since those were the reason I bring it up is if we're looking for this transparency and getting more light and visibility into the building, those were the two primary like large openings. So I'd like to see maybe an effort to retain those elements, and maybe it's a glass infill versus a solid door or something. But I think for such a simple building, those are really kind of one of the few architectural elements. And if we could retain those, I think I'd feel more comfortable that we'd have a shot at keeping the contributing status.
Thanks, Andrew. Go ahead, Shane. Yeah.
I can speak to the northeast corner. So where my cursor is currently, that has been infilled with a foot of concrete because of the shear for the building. I'm not sure when that happened, but based on my discussions with the structural engineer, that's what he believes was added there, just because there must have been some deflection in the building, and that northwest corner is completely infilled with concrete.
But just to let you know too, that northwest corner is the elevator shaft for the building. That's the original elevator. They had this. It's really cool platform lift that's in there, and so those carriage doors, I think, just brought you into the lift at that point to go kind of up to the upper floors at that point. And then obviously that existing lift that's there is has been taken out of commission and is condemned. So we're doing a new elevator. We're doing it in the same spot because that existing opening and that shaft structurally goes all the way through that building as well there too. Because I'm just trying to think out loud here too, in that those, were sort of carriage doors that went into, that lift that was there as well too. So I don't know if they would have ever been transparent, but I guess, Shane, Paige, I'm kind of think if maybe we could, if there's something that we could do on that facade to reflect the historical opening of that. Obviously it's been infilled with a structural to make the building perform, but I'm just wondering if there's something that would, to Jason's point, that we could look at these, if we're looking at this at a little bit more of like a detail, details in the building to help kind of create the continuity of its being a contributing property. I don't know if I have a great solution for that off the bat, but I like where you're thinking on that.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the one on the, so it's the one on the northeast corner is the one that's been infilled with concrete, correct?
Correct. Yep.
The northwest corner one, the one that faces west, is that a similar situation, or is that one maybe more? It looks like you're going to open it again and put glass in, but there's like that cornice detail in the wall there that I think would be really great to keep. That was, probably a primary entrance at some point. And
yeah, it was hard to yeah, absolutely. But I think per kind of Savannah's comment earlier on too. Yeah, I'm sorry that probably didn't quite make it into the model at that point too. But it would be our intention to keep that piece in there.
Okay. Alrighty. And then the sign on the roof, are you retaining that, or is there plans to restore it?
Yeah. So go ahead, Paige. Yeah. There's two signs up there, but yeah.
Yeah. So the large sign on the roof is in terrible shape. So we can't work on it up there, obviously. So we're going to remove it, lower it down in the parking lot, and then we're having Jude Cook look at it to repair it. Their initial and restore it. Their initial looks at it were that it's going to cost somewhere in the 6-figure range, but the owner's intention still is to bring it down, fully explore what it's going to cost, and if it is affordable to do, if it doesn't, spiral up to $185,000 or $200,000, their intention is to restore it, and then we put it back up on the roof. So we want to keep that, and then the Tucson warehouse and transfer signs, we will restore those, and so that is our intention. The signage is a huge part of the building, and if we can restore it, we want to. Did I cover that right?
Yeah, you did. And it may not be relevant, but just a small plug for these guys. Like Paige and Shane and I have conversations about things like this with clients all the time. And we talked to Jude. He gave us some initial cost estimates for doing this stuff. We very nervously brought that up to the clients and said, geez, we'd love to see the sign. It's expensive. And they were, to their credit, they were like, yep, that's a lot of money, but we think the sign, we're investing in this community. This building is amazing. We think the sign is an integral part. So they were not able to say like guaranteed, yes, we will do this, but they were like, yep, we are going to do everything in our power to get that back off. I mean, it provides no real economic benefit to their business, right? But like, I just want to plug to say that these guys are, they're trying to do everything that they can to preserve the fabric of this community and of this area, and to be respectful as possible, but and also to run their business too. But we were so pleasantly surprised to get, on some of these areas that have come up, to get feedback like that from these clients, because it just doesn't happen as much as we'd like it to sometimes.
Yeah, no, understood. I've had and lost that fight before to save the old signs. So I appreciate the effort. I mean, this building's tough because it's so simple, right? And it's such a utilitarian building that any sort of, anything we're going to interject in it is going to be cause for concern, because it's not like we have this great like Main Street facade to preserve and then a simple back end like the Rialto has, right? Like the whole building is built like that. So it's these little details that really become important, and that may be important in your conversation with SHPO too, kind of a give and take, right? If the sign is so prominent, the sign is historic and very detailed, if that's retained, if these other elements are retained, maybe there's a little more leeway on some of the infill and opacity questions. But I would be hesitant to take the sign off before you can for sure pay to restore it and get it back up, because if you can't, it's probably never going back up, and it'll go get to live at Ignite Sign Museum forever and ever. And I'd rather see it.
It has to come down in order for us to do the. Sorry.
Okay. So
it has to come down in order for us to be able to roof. And the sign in its current condition has rusted all the way through on the bottom, all the way through on the sides. And there's another large piece that you can't see in this picture that's laying on the roof right now that fell off at some point. Mm-hmm. And we have to get it off the roof just from a liability standpoint.
Okay.
And so, but like we said, every intention is to put it back up. So.
Okay. Yeah, I would just make sure we document really well where exactly it was, so that in case you guys can't get it back up, maybe someone in the future can. So
yeah.
All right, cool. Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Great. Any other commissioner comments?
Yeah, I'm just trying to because we don't have a view that shows at least all these little items to remain. What do you think, Andrew? Do you think we should have them revised to show that stuff because it is sacred, the little pieces we have that will be retained?
I think so, and they have to go through DRB anyway. So it could be a quick review just to come back through and say, yep, we've got it all. It's clear that those are being retained. I'd be comfortable with that, just because there's so little, like you said.
So like a minor review, you think, or just coming back for all of us?
I'd be okay with a minor review if everyone else is okay with that. That way we can not delay their schedule.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I think that sounds great. Just to clarify too, Savannah, could that be if we just did the elevations? Because it's probably easier to get all the little detail on the. Okay, great. Yeah, as opposed to updating the whole full model. For everything. Yeah. Okay, great.
Yeah, yeah, those corners that we talked about. I mean, I was looking at an old photo and I do see like kind of that northeast corner as like as an opening. So even if it's infilled, like somehow, and it kind of like pops up a little bit, breaks the grid a little bit, because the opening is so high. So just those little memories, really, right?
Yeah,
Somehow,
exactly. No, those are great.
uh,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
great. That's great.
Okay,
I mean,
well,
but otherwise, it sounds like we want um the building to maintain its contributing status. So that seems like the only like real uh, condition. What do you guys
Can I
think?
ask a can I ask a question as it relates to the condition? Because I know you guys will propose a motion, but my question is, can the condition be made in such a way that uh, if we can provide evidence that the drawing, with through new elevations, that those elements will be retained, would it, if we had that drawing magically right now, would it change the requirement for a second review? I guess what I'm asking is there a way to uh, make the condition that provided we show a drawing that shows those elements being retained, it would be approved, I guess but if it needs to be a secondary review, that's fine too. I'm just talking out loud
well,
because
it's a very quick review, and the fact that we suggested that it would be a minor review
okay.
will take almost no time. But I think whoever, if it's Andrew or Savannah making the motion, we have to be very clear so the DRB understands our concerns, and that they understand what little changes we would like to make.
And by the
So
time we get to the DRB meeting, we'll have that drawing done. So they'll see your comment. We'll be able to address it and show them what you guys are talking about and how we address it in the drawings. And
okay,
then,
sounds good. Now I'm going to have to ask you to wait while we make the motion because it's just the commissioners need to discuss this and get it made. Okay.
Can I,
So
Commissioner
Andrew or Savannah, I'm
Majewski?
sorry.
Oh, Commissioner Majewski, can I just add or ask when you all are thinking about your motion, just so I'm clear, and so I can, communicate to our director when the time comes. If you all can kind of clarify your position or recommendation related to like the fenestration, the different kind of elements, those large glass panels, but also like the original windows and then the proposed new windows, just if I can kind of get some clarity on direction there too, that would help.
Okay, sounds good. So Savannah or Andrew, which one of you is going to make the motion?
Andrew, do you want to?
No. um,
I don't know I don't know how we phrase what we want to say about the fenestration. I think we're relying a little bit on SHPO, right?
yeah, I mean, I none of the fenestration really offends me, but I would I would rather defer to SHPO because I also don't feel like it has to, if it needs to be pared back or done a little bit differently, and that's how it needs to keep its historic status, that's what I would support as well. So I don't know. I don't know really how to phrase that. Like, I don't know. Do they need to get an official determination from SHPO for us to be comfortable approving it?
It's just such a significant change.
Yeah, I agree. So
And I don't think
maybe,
we've seen one like this that's so significant of a distinct,
so
you
maybe
know.
it's just a continuance then, and they come back with the updated elevations and like a official determination from SHPO. How do you feel about that?
That would make us nice and comfortable, but I worry about the
I know.
the delay of the project. Terry,
I
what
know.
do you think? Have we? I don't think we've deferred to SHPO before.
Well, let's ask Desiree what are you looking for in a motion, including an emotion about the fenestration? Give us
And
some
I think-
guidance here.
Yeah, I think your thoughts on the eligibility or the status, so like the changes that are proposed, in your opinion, would that change the status from contributing to non-contributing? Are there some that you're okay? Because then, it's a conversation that, I can have with SHPO too, right? So I can kind of follow up if you all want to direct us to do that as well. Like we can kind of work to find hopefully a path forward that allows more light into the building while also maintaining that status. Maybe it's just a conversation with them on what they're comfortable with, the level of change that they're comfortable with. So yeah, perhaps it is, another conversation with SHPO and also just getting your thoughts, your professional opinions on what you all think is acceptable.
Yeah, and I think we should always like loop Desiree and her office in on so that applicants aren't continually, sidestepping the HPO and going straight to SHPO. I think that that's appropriate for Desiree to communicate with SHPO about the issue. And so that's my thought on that. And I think we do need to say other things in the motion because Maria's going to want it right away to go to DRB, so that they have our feedback. And, so these smaller things that we're calling smaller details, I think need to be called out in the motion.
So, Ms. Majewski, members of the PRS, and also a question for the applicant. So if they go back to the PRS for a minor review, and if they provide those requested revisions today, if all that minor, if the applicant is able to provide the new drawings pretty soon, how quickly could the minor review be done? Could that be done prior to Friday next week? Just so we're cleaner going forward with the DRB. And I'm just trying to avoid going back and forth at this point.
We get them done pretty quick. It probably would be me or Savannah doing it, and I'll turn them around in like a day or two.
Okay, great. So, Rick, Paige, we'll see what the motion comes up like, but if you could provide those revised drawings early next week, that would really help.
Absolutely. Thanks, Maria. Yes, we can get those drawings ASAP. So that's not a concern at all, too. And I did just have one quick question, and it just maybe a clarification, because this is I know the PRS, reviews based on specific criteria. When I did talk to SHPO, because we talked to her because we had some other projects going on, and couldn't find any early information, so she was helpful on the research on that too. She did mention at that point too, she said, look, SHPO, because it's not a listed property, SHPO doesn't actually have any jurisdiction on here. So I'm just trying to struggle a little bit with I understand what you're saying about wanting, SHPO's kind of like them to kind of weigh in on this as well too. But I guess I'm struggling with like does that follow under the criteria for, I've never seen that before on a PRS review that like SHPO had to weigh in, because I just didn't think it was like part, I thought they were actually kind of like two separate streams on that.
Well, they are, and we sometimes do, sometimes request it. I mean, we have over the years, when it's a serious issue, and basically SHPO would be responsible for if this building were delisted, that would go through SHPO. That's a SHPO function.
Right. That's a SHPO function. Yep.
Yeah, but Desiree is the historic preservation officer for Tucson, is a very important piece of this and is often a conduit for questions to SHPO, and SHPO tries to stay back from some of these decisions because we have a knowledgeable SHPO in her department. So anyway, let us please make this motion because we have several other items we need to attend to. And just the last thing is, Maria, this is a complex case. And so there's no, we only started hearing about this case when a commissioner complained that things were happening to the building that we hadn't seen. And so, some of these buildings, we have a very quick, we got this on the agenda to make it easier for the applicant and because you've got it scheduled for DRB, but these are complex projects that we will not be forced to make quick decisions on if we don't feel comfortable with that. So just want to say that. So, okay, Andrew or Savannah, someone please make a motion.
Okay, I've got one written up. So let me just get the case number in here real quick and I will do that. Okay. All right, on the matter of item 4A, case SD 0226-00027/TD-DEV-0425-00121/TC-COM-0925-01698 at 440 North 7th Ave. I recommend approval of the project as presented with the following conditions. 1, that the existing cornice detail and evidence of carriage door openings should be shown on the northeast and northwest corners, and revised elevations should be provided for minor review. 2, PRS is generally supportive of the new glazing system and infill walls, but the extent of new glazing is cause for concern that contributing status may be lost. 3, the applicant is encouraged to further discuss the glazing and infill strategy with the City Historic Preservation Officer and the State Historic Preservation Officer to ensure that contributing status is maintained. 4, that the historic rooftop sign location should be thoroughly documented before removal so that it can be reinstalled in the future after restoration.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, is there discussion of the motion? Okay, if not, I'll call roll. Terry votes aye. Blake?
Aye.
Andrew?
Aye.
Savannah?
Aye.
Great, thank you. So it passes 4-0. And Andrew, could you send Desiree, me, and Maria that motion, please?
Yep, no problem.
Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Applicants, do you have any questions for us about the motion?
No.
Just one quick. So we'll revise those drawings ASAP so we can get the detail in there and we can do the minor review as we've spoken about. Thank you very much for doing that. I guess I'm just trying to think through all the different options. If the SHPO and Desiree aren't on board with the glazing strategy for this, well, I guess I can talk to Desiree more about kind of the nuances about because I don't believe it needs PRS approval for RNA approval, but certainly that's not what we want to do. And so I'm just trying to anticipate what the questions we're going to get from our clients, but we could have maybe a discussion offline about this, but thank you all very much. Yeah.
And just a clarification on that, I think our absolute intention is to go finish this process with SHPO and with staff and make sure that everybody is comfortable. So we will continue to make those arguments and pitch and present that case because we do feel like the way we are presenting this is the correct way to present it.
Absolutely. And we just don't want this thing to be mothballed for eternity either. I'm just worried about our clients saying, well, we'll ditch the second, third, and fourth floor here because, things. So I'm just trying to figure out how we can, because I think that's unfortunate as well too, if this thing just becomes an empty shell on this as well. So, but we'll see what we can figure out.
Well, it seems like everyone is moving to have these reviews as quickly as possible. So,
yeah.
And, I think that you could just mention to your client, this is it's an important district. It's an important building for the community, and everyone's bending over backwards to make it possible for your project to move forward quickly. So
Absolutely.
I'm sure that they seem like they've been very reasonable, so I'm sure they will understand the sort of the review sequence. So, okay, well, thank you again. Go ahead.
And now you have, now you have PRS approval, so you're one step closer. I feel like we're just
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yep. All right, guys. Thank you very much. Really, really appreciate everything today. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you
all.
guys.
Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Thank you all.
Okay, let's move on to item 5, which is historic landmark nomination review. 5A is TC-COM-0226-00203, 255 West Alameda Street. It's for Tucson City Hall. Jason, it looks like you are the contact on this.
That is
So
correct.
could
Thank
you
Terry.
give us a presentation?
Yep. Desiree, would you please enable me to share screen? And Terry, I know we're running short on time. How much do you want me to keep this down to? I have a slide presentation, but I can certainly cut it down to what time remaining you feel we have left.
Well, when does everyone have to get off? I was hoping our meeting would be an hour and a half today, but if we need to move this forward, we need to move it forward. How many slides do you have? 26. What do commissioners desire here?
I'm okay on time. I got someone to cover my my 10 o'clock, so I'll defer to others.
I have till 10:45. I have to get to campus. So
okay. That's good to know.
And I think we need to go because we have another informational item and we need to wrap up. And I appreciate everyone, being on this meeting earlier in the day. So
yeah, thank you.
Okay, well, if you can zip through.
I will do my best. I will try to keep it a brief history of City Hall rather than a forced march. So let me go ahead and move on. So I'll first start with the boundaries of this historic landmark overlay would match the boundaries of the parcel on which the current City Hall sits on. This is because that there's been much change to the surrounding parcels and they don't fit the period of significance. And the period of significance really is going to be between 1961 and 1966. So we're not including that. So it's really going to be just the parcel that it sits on. So I'll start with right here. As you can see, the dotted lines is going to be the old El Presidio walls. I have highlighted where.
Hey, Jason,
I don't
this slide
see.
didn't progress.
Okay. All right. What if I just do this? I try to blow it up to a screen, but maybe I'll leave it like this. You can see this?
There you go.
Yes.
Okay. So as I was saying, the dotted lines are the old Presidio walls. The last current one, the previous two were within the city walls. The very first one, I believe, was down at the grounds of the St. Augustine Church. I go down a little bit. Okay. Keep in mind, this was sort of George Hand's map, and 1883 City Hall is there in the blue. This is where the current Pima County Historic Courthouse is right now. In the purple, this is the old maps, Cosmopolitan, and there's an old adobe wall. This is a plaque from the adobe wall, so it's right to the west of the current City Hall. And it's showing that the hotel is using remnants of that wall. So looking to an 1883, then where the 1916 City Hall once stood, before that was a Presbyterian church, as the plaque shows, and then it was sold to a Congregational church. So I'm showing in relation to where the City Hall was in this bigger area, but where this Congregational church and the 1916 City Hall was is not part of the parcel that we are looking for the nomination. I move forward to 1924 aerial photo. I have tried to outline in yellow gold the best I can. What is there in a light purple is where the 1916 was, 1883 City Hall, and then you can see where the Pima County Courthouse. This 1924 photo is right before Pima County decided to demolish all the existing structures and build the structure that we know today. There's a street running through it. Jumping to the next one. Here's our first city hall. Again, as I said, this was down at the St. Augustine Church grounds. Going to the next one. This, if you remember, it was highlighted in blue, 1883 City Hall. I found in the lower right, this was a newspaper article where that street running through where you can see the people congregating with the bikes to the side. It was called Library Street. It is now the walkway between the Pima County Courthouse. So then we moved to the 1916 City Hall. So again, as I was saying, this is the parcel that today's City Hall was right adjacent to it, but the 1916 City Hall was sitting on a different parcel, and this was demolished once the complete Tucson City Hall was built and everyone could move their offices into the new structure. Moving on. This is just a little background saying that at one time in 1957, they had thought about taking the existing 1916 City Hall, building a wing extending to the west, and then build an administration building across from it on Alameda Street. These plans did not go through. And this was through bonds. Now, the bonds did go through, and we have an early 1960, early conceptual plan. The building label C was to build a new structure using the old site of 1916 City Hall. Moving forward, here's the plans of 1962. And these plans from 1962, you can see the City Hall, there's Sunset Park, and where my cursor is, you can see just how close the existing City Hall was to it while they went and built. I'm using my cursor to go around it. And from those 1962 plans, I'm showing the south and west elevations. So moving forward, I have found a memo dated to January 11th, 1962. This came from the architect, Fred Jobouche, and he says, since the last report, dated October 3rd, 1962, moving on, the architect scope declared the building substantially complete on Wednesday, January 10th, 1962, and ready for various city departments to begin the work of installing and moving into the structure. Here I have an aerial photo where you can see how it was constructed. It did take a number of years between 1962 till we got to moving to again the tower that we now see today. That was finally approved. And so here I have elevation plans. These were approved April 1st, 1966. We're looking at the west elevation. This is what we do see currently today. This is your east elevation. This will be the south elevation. And the last one will be the north. Now these are the plans. I have historic photos of the steel framing that's going up and the construction of the 9-story tower. I have some aerial photos. You can see how it's being built adjacent to. At the same time, I'll mention that urban renewal funds started to take away some of the old buildings here and extending to the south. This would be looking to the northwest, and this is the old buildings that demolished the old buildings during urban renewal. Here's a colored photo, and I showed it as enlarged because you can see the urban renewal, you know, Tucson Convention Center will be out here. And then once they had finally completed it, found these historic photos of the old 1916 City Hall finally coming down. Found a newspaper article that even though there's much nostalgia about it, they just said it stunk because it had so many problems and issues since it was first built in 1960. Even though they had nostalgia, they're happy to move forward and have something new and modern. So going back to the December 11th, 2025 PRS meeting we had, there's some concerns and issues raised regarding some of the architectural features. So I have enlarged. What we are seeing in the upper right-hand corner is a cast stone fascia. This is according to the plans that were mentioned. And I have a photo looking up at those anodized rings. And you can also see those aluminum windows with the mullions. I do have another photos that will show this a little bit better. Right here, the image on the left, The parcel that it sits on does have kind of little segment that juts out towards Alameda, so this is part of it, and this is looking at that parcel with these, I think you call them acorn Steinfeld street lamps leading up to the entrance of City Hall. And the last image here, you can see those aluminum windows with those mullions, the anodized gold rings, and the cast stone fascia. So one of the things that I like to just bring out a summary of the character defining features of this is it is a regular plan, 10 stories in height. It's horizontally oriented as a 1-story ground floor with a vertical 9-story tower. Steel beam framework, cast concrete construction, cast stone facing stucco fascia. There's covered walkways with concrete floors, a ground level lock entrance at the north and south entrances. Large glass plate windows, recessed glass windows with overhangs, a wraparound balcony on the 10th floor that, as we see here in this image, gold anodized as duplicated at the top, has those muted desert tones, concrete steps with metal railings, and exposed aggregate concrete planters and retaining walls. What we have is we do find that this is significant and it meets criterion A in the area of politics and government for its important role in Tucson's political history as a local seat of government, and is also eligible under criterion C in the area of architecture as a significant example of 20th century civic building designed in the brutalist architectural style noted by the architectural firm Friedman and Jobouche. This is Tucson's 4th City Hall built and is a remaining example. I'll conclude by saying that historic preservation staff find the proposed historic landmark designation meets the requirements for designation as set forth in UDC section 5.8.5, standards for establishing and amending HLs. The department seeks a recommendation whether to approve the conditions, or deny the proposed historic landmark designation. And that concludes my presentation. I'm available for any questions.
Great, thank you. Commissioners, do you have any questions about Jason's presentation or about the materials that were provided to us for review?
I can go.
Who would like to start?
Yeah, I'll start.
Go ahead.
First, Jason, the level of research and documentation here is astounding. Like this is awesome. So great job. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
I think the only remaining question I had from our last review is the clarity of the boundary of the nomination. I know you talked about it at the beginning. Can you clarify that for us, what the boundary includes and doesn't include?
Okay. Let me see. I have an image for it.
Jason, it's in the packet if you want to pull up, or I can also share.
I have it. Let me go to, there it is, and let me throw it on screen. If you don't see it, I'm going to need to reshare screen.
Yeah, you'll need to reshare, I think.
Okay, give me 1 second. There we go.
While he's sharing, I'll just generally speaking, historic landmark boundaries are the parcel because it's a rezoning of that parcel, right? So it's an overlay of whatever that zoning is. So if we were to expand beyond that, we would be expanding into other parcels. And in conversation with department leadership, and also just based on the period of significance of that building itself, it makes sense from a historic preservation and standard standpoint, but also in conversation with department leadership, they wanted to keep it to that parcel. Because anything beyond that would be a conversation with mayor and council. That wasn't the direction, to expand beyond this parcel.
Okay, very good. So that little northeast parcel is separate where the former church and former city hall was. And then I think it was called Sunset Park in the original plans on that northwest corner is also separate.
Right. Yeah. So they're separate parcels, and they also have been altered over time. As we took a look, there really isn't anything from the period of significance that's left.
Okay.
So I have a question though, before you continue, Andrew, that is it because of the perspective of this drawing where the building is set that it actually, the boundary encompasses the entire building, or is it just the way this looks?
Yeah, it's not totally accurate. Just
But
kind
we
of
could
reflects the
say
limitations. But yeah,
this
the whole
is,
building would be included.
it will be, and this is taken from the parcel lot lines that are on map Tucson. This blue outline was trying to trace out that outline.
But is it confusing to have it cut off part of the building just in this particular view?
And this image is confusing because of the way I had the shape file and the image below it. In the nomination form, maybe there might be a better one. But it is that the building also too, as you see, we're kind of looking from not a direct viewpoint. We kind of are at an angle, so that building does get blocked off. And I believe where the blue line was going, I was following the parcel lot lines because you can see these white ones. That's what I was following.
Yeah, it's
but
just
isn't-
like how Map Tucson generates it. It wasn't hand drawn, and when it goes through the rezoning process, there will be more accurate maps produced. That's just kind of what we have available to us right now through Map Tucson.
Maybe you should make a note of that though, because it's very confusing to anyone just looking at it.
Understood.
Unless there's, yeah. Okay. I'm sorry, Andrew, did you have any other questions?
No, I think that was it. Great job, Jason. Thank you.
Okay, who's next? Blake, how about you?
Yeah, I will second Andrew's comments. This was well researched. It looks great. And I enjoyed reading through it. And I also just want to say, Jason, coming from, a grad student who did a lot of presentations and had to crunch, some stuff and, that I felt was important down to fit in a timeline. That was a great presentation. And I thank you for, zipping through that. You did a great job.
Thank you very much. Thanks for that. I did have a little bit more images that would appear within slides, but because of the time crunch, I just skipped over.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thanks. Savannah?
Yeah, it was very thorough. Thank you, Jason. But I was trying to understand what is that, and I'm looking at the same boundary map that we have, and I understand we have what we have for the inventory, and that it will be refined through the rezoning process. Is that is that the main entry there where it juts out to the north?
That is correct, yes.
Yeah, okay. So it's like a hardscaped element. I know you guys walked it.
I have a picture here on the slide, but I need to reshare screen.
Go ahead. Yeah, please do.
Okay. All right. You can see these orange straight lamps. So this parcel that juts out goes to West Alameda Street, and then the steps leading up. So the parcels to the left of this street lamp and to the right are not included, and they end right where this retaining wall is.
Okay. So
and if we look at this image on the right, here's going to be the edge of the parcel right on the other side of these columns and the retaining wall, and then where it falls, the handrails down, just that parcel extends out on the sidewalk going towards Alameda Street.
Okay. So it includes a little bit of landscape on either side of the main way?
I would say it's just the handrails and the street lamps with just the rocks.
Maybe we can share the inventory form, because we do have photos in the inventory form of kind of the site, some of the site features. At the end.
What I was going to try and do is bring up the actual parcel on map Tucson.
Yeah, you can do that as well.
Let me throw that up on the screen 1 second.
So yeah, some of the site features that we added to the nomination, are the concrete kind of surround. It really is just hardscape area. These, when you look at the historical images, there are planters. There's no plants in them, but there are planters. Um,
Which
It does
image?
seem to include it does project a little bit into the east, right? So that whole is that
yeah,
the mostly paved area, right? Hardscaped area to the east, but that
yeah.
there's some
To the
stuff
east?
there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This
I
is a
have
concrete
some.
walkway, and there is a monument to a soldado that's right about here.
Okay.
We have some photos. I'm gonna just share them really quick, okay? Just because I think photos might be more helpful. So like the stairs, the steps would be considered a character defining
Okay.
feature. These retaining walls.
I stopped sharing if you want to share your screen, Desiree.
Okay. Sorry. I'm going back and forth. Yeah, so these steps, the metal railings, these walls, I'm forgetting what it's like aggregate stone.
Hmm.
If that's what you call it. So yeah, there's some minimal hardscape kind of features, the concrete, the scoring. There's not a ton. It's mostly
Okay.
concrete. And then the planters I was mentioning earlier, here, like if you look at historic photos, there were plants in them, but right now they're just dirt. The spaces are still there.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you guys. Yeah, no, nice presentation and very complete inventory form. Thank you. Looks good to me.
And then there was one more question that you all had that I just wanted to answer. It was related to the interior. Public and the UDC, there's a part in there that says that publicly owned buildings at the interior are subject to historic review. But the intention of mayor and council when initiating this was just for the exterior. So that will come through when the actual ordinance is written. When it goes to mayor and council, they will most likely indicate in their ordinance that it just applies to the exterior.
Okay.
Wah, wah.
Okay, any other comments? Are we ready for motion?
You want to make it, Savannah?
I think, yeah, I can. I'll do that, but I'm trying to remember if there's anything special we need to say or just that it's approved as presented. I can't. Terry, do you remember?
I think we have to mention criterion A and B.
Okay.
There's criterion A and C. Let me
Oh,
just
sorry.
double check.
Correct, yeah, A and C.
A and C, yes.
Criterion A and C.
That is correct.
Community development and architecture, right?
It is. Criterion A is in the area of politics and government. Criterion C is architecture.
Right.
Is there anything else that's helpful for us to include in the motion?
Well, we
That's
can
right.
commend them on the well-written nomination and thorough nomination. Desiree, do you want anything else in there? You're on mute.
Savannah, I think this period of significance might be good because we have said that this period of significance will be 1961 to 1966.
Can't think of anything else. But thanks for asking.
Sure. Oh, Andrew, be sure you send that email with the motion. I don't know if you did that.
Yep, I sent it.
And Savannah, when you get a chance to send yours, but I know you have your thing today, so whenever.
Okay. I should be able to. We're in good timing. Okay. All right, I think I'm ready.
Okay.
On the matter of TC-COM-0226-00203 at 255 West Alameda Street. I move to recommend approval of the historic landmark nomination of Tucson City Hall and commend it for its well-documented and deserved, or well-documented research and deserved project. It is under Criterion A and Criterion C, and with a period of significance of 1961 through 1966.
Okay, is there a second?
This is Blake.
that
I will
you?
second.
Okay,
for it,
Blake is in second. All right, so we've got Savannah and Blake. Is there further discussion? Excuse me. If not, I'll go ahead and call roll. Terry votes aye. Andrew? Andrew, are
Yeah.
you on mute?
No, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh,
Do you vote
yes. Yes, aye.
aye? Okay, Savannah,
Aye.
Blake.
Aye.
Great, thanks. It passes 4-0. And thank you again, Jason, for this masterful presentation. The nomination is great and good to see it go forward.
Thank you, Chair and Commission members.
Okay. Item 6 is an informational item, 6A, Fort Lowell Day Adobe Demonstration and Repair. And I know Desiree wanted to present something. So would you like to tell us about this, Desiree, or whoever you're having speak of it?
Yes, and Johnny from our office has been coordinating this, but he was not available at this time, so I'm going to do my best to present. But essentially, we are our office is working with the folks at the Presidio Museum and the organizers of Fort Lowell Day, which is scheduled for March 28th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. We will be working on offering a hands-on Adobe preservation activity. We'll be undertaking some basal stabilization and wall surface repair and applying protective mud caps. The work will be directed by a qualified historic preservation specialist with experience in Southwestern earth and architecture. His name is Chris Schreger. He works with the Forest Service and has a lot of experience working in Tumacacori and a bunch of different southern Arizona and adobe structures throughout the state. And so this was included in your packets. I won't read all of it, but the main areas that we'll be looking at, here's some photos. We'll be looking at on the Fort Lowell grounds at the hospital area. So these are sections of the old hospital wall that are exposed to the elements, and kind of we toured around with park staff and Chris and our staff and kind of identified these areas as seeming to need the most love right now, and also a safe space for volunteers and folks to participate. So here's a map showing the area. Here's Craycroft Road. So this is kind of in the main park area. Again, that's the hospital, and a portion of the hospital is covered, is protected from the elements to a certain extent. So that's this area. These are old mud adobe bricks from earlier preservation efforts. I don't know if we'll find a use for those, but it's, this is considered repair. So it's, and we did run it by SHPO as well, and they're, supportive of this and supportive of Chris leading that work. And he's led other types of Adobe workshops at Fort Lowell Day. In the past, he led activity like Adobe mud making with children. And he approached us last year kind of with this thought of, it would be great to do something similar, but it would be really wonderful to actually like work, put that skill and that time to use, actually contributing to some maintenance of Adobe. So So that's basically the project. Will be out March 28th, which is a Saturday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. So anyone wants to join, you're welcome to. Yeah, if you have any questions, let me know.
Yeah. Thanks, Desiree. I just wanted to comment for everyone's awareness that I worked a lot with Chris Schrager at Empire Ranch when we worked there for many, many years. And he's a good guy. He knows his stuff. It seems it's great that he is, I assume volunteering or at least doing this, and that the city's involved, showing its support. And I think it's great. And I would just request that you have some pictures on file so that we can maybe share them with. Be nice for you to share them with the full commission. It's just a nice thing to show that we're involving the community, that we're getting some things done that we otherwise don't have money for. And getting the community engaged in this is great. And if I were around, I would help you, but it's a long way from where I am right now. So anyway, good luck with that. Any questions from other commissioners?
No, I think that sounds great.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And thank Johnny too for coordinating it and so forth. And it's really good to see this. Okay, if nothing else on 6A, we'll go on to 7 current issues for information discussion. 7A minor reviews. Update, please.
I will begin. I do not have any minor reviews at this point. There will be many forthcoming once the sub-records have been created. Michael?
Yes, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee, I have a couple of minor reviews that I've worked on with Andrew. There's one that is coming on 800 East University for a sign. I have one which is pending at 925 North 3rd Avenue. Andrew, I just sent that to you today. They have gone through the full review process, both for West University and PRS. And one of the conditions of approval was to do a minor review for the garage door design and also the proposed fencing. So I've sent that out to Andrew and to West University. As soon as I get their recommendation on that, we should be ready to release the approval letter. We also did a minor review at 628 North 3rd Avenue for a roof. This was in West University. There was another minor review, 350 East 15th Street, for a roof replacement and also for solar panel installation. And then the last one that I have that has been done is a sign on a historic landmark on the 800 North Country Club. We do have one minor review which Jason and I have worked on it. I believe that one is 431 South 5th in Emery Park, where they were proposing to replace some windows. Both Andrew and Stan felt that it was not a good option. It looks at this point in time that the applicant is opting to go through the full review process, which means they will go to Avery Park for the review of those windows, and they will also have to come before you for that. Jason is still working on that review, so that should be coming your way anytime soon. That's what I have for minor reviews at this point in time.
Good, thank you. Desiree, do you have anything?
No, nothing related to minor reviews.
Okay, thank you. 7B is appeals.
We do not have any appeals at this point in time.
Thank you. 7C, zoning violations.
We continue to work to bring them to you, but in particular, we have 2 cases that we're working on right now. One is on 145 East University. The applicant decided to change the roof and install a corrugated metal roof, which is actually not allowed in West University per design guidelines. We have told the applicant that at this point in time, the material change would be required. And I believe that review was also done by Andrew and West University. So we're waiting to get what the applicant wants to do. The wife of the owner called me and asked if the proposed material that will be accepted in West University could be put on top of the corrugated metal roof. And I said I'm not an engineer to determine the load capacity of adding something on top of the corrugated metal roof. So I'm not sure about what they want to do, but we continue to work on that. And then there's also another zoning violation on 710 North 2nd Avenue for change of materials. In this case, all the windows that were there were replaced by vinyl windows. Vinyl windows are not accepted in West University. The applicants are ready to remove the vinyl windows and replace them with wood. We are working on that through the review process. It was continued by West University. After West University, that will be coming to you. Those are the two violation cases that we're working on at this point in time.
Great, thank you. Item 7D is review process issues. Is there anything anyone wants to share at this point? Okay, I'll just note that no issues were raised. Okay, item 8 is future agenda items. Our next meeting is March 12th, 2026, the day after the full commission meeting. Is everyone anticipating that they will be present?
Yep, I should be here.
Okay, Blake? Savannah?
Yes, I'm
Yes.
good that day.
Okay, I will be there.
Yeah, Madam Chair, I would just like to add that I am going to be out of the office the whole month of March. So the next couple of meetings that you will have in March and probably April, I will not be attending.
Okay, we'll miss you.
Thank you,
So
Madam
thank
Chair.
you. Safe travels.
Thank you.
Okay, anything you want to say, Desiree, about future agendas?
We'll have the West University, the 925 North 2nd Avenue that was continued. That will be ready for your review on the March 12th meeting. And then I believe the Milagro and Oracle signs, the sign applications are ready, but they're also proposing an awning. So depending on when they submit that, it may or may not come to you at that meeting. I think they want to do it all together at the same meeting. But I'll keep you posted. And we have, a few other kind of regular review items that I don't need to get into, but there are also a couple HSRC items coming up. They're fairly simple reclassifications, just a few houses. So I don't think it'll take that much time, but we might put that on the March 12th agenda as well.
I think that would be good because otherwise it'll be pretty close because the meeting's something like the 27th, I believe, the HSRC meeting.
Yeah.
So in Savannah, are you going to need to recuse from Milagro?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that means we need at least minimally Blake, Terry, and Andrew, unless we can get Joel. I'm concerned I haven't been able to reach him, so I'll continue to try. Okay, any questions about the future agenda items from anyone? Okay, I wanted to really thank you all for being willing to meet this morning and for the hard work. And Savannah, good luck. Did Savannah jump off? Oh, there she is.
No, I'm here. I'm here. Thank you.
Little squares. Yeah, take care and drive safely down there. It's right at 10:45. We'll adjourn at 10:45.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you again.
Thanks, guys.
Bye. You're all appreciated. Bye-bye.
You too, Terry.